Hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Happy Saturday to you and your family. Hope you're having a fantastic and amazing day. We're taking another look here at Solana, helping understand best practice and big picture, of course. So if you are new to the channel, not a financial advisor, love teaching people to trade, hope you can learn something here today. And obviously if you do, comment below, let me know. If you want to learn a lot more, become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is a site. Link in the description below. I actually teach people how to trade with my trading videos, as well as, of course, 250 active members presently in our community, allowing for you to learn and grow as a trader. Everyone's just having a fantastic experience. In fact, take a quick look at this here. We've got some awesome gains going on with the most recent trades here. We got Terra Classic, we've got Phantom, we've got a Dogecoin trade, futures here for another Doge, and of course, Pendejo killing it with another Chili's 20x. So again, keep with the good work, community. Really love what you're doing. I'm super proud of you. Super happy that we're taking some massive results here as well. 83% from Ethereum. And of course, we got some pretty standard gains here from Bitcoin. Profit target 3 is 65%. And of course, 160% from Matic yesterday, just in like 10-hour period. It's really cool. So congratulations to all my community members there. Very last thing, of course, if you're not using Bitget, make sure you use the link in the description below. If you're already registered with Bitget and you want to be part of this, King's Cup Global Invitation, where you can register to become a member of my team, be happy to go ahead and add you to that. Feel free to message me direct. If you're currently a community member, make sure you register as well. I've already sent that out through my premium messaging, I guess you could say. And in that sense, obviously make sure that you let me know if you have any questions or concerns there. But once again, cryptocash.tech is a site to register. All the information is there, and I hope that you can, again, be part of that, because there's some really awesome gains in that regard. And Bitget is my favorite exchange. I think you'll be super happy that you decided to switch over to use them. So here's the thing with Solana. Big picture, we got to go ahead and update a few things here, first of all, because it's been just a little while since I'd covered it last. And what I want to look at is just kind of some key level supports and resistances. So the previous Fibonacci retracement levels are kind of holding strong. We can see that we got rejected right there at about round number 39 cents. If we look previously, in fact, we take 39 cents and extend it out, we can see there are some pretty steady support and resistance zones right there. So we can see support here, resistance here. So in general, that is obviously a point of contention. So getting above that would be very helpful. Okay, what we also want to do is update our Fibonacci retracement levels here, of course, because we've had some recent wicks, so to speak, and we want to make sure to take advantage of that. And then we also want to extend out our trend line here just to be on the safe side, because I think in the long run we could see that retested. Okay, so that's basically what we're looking at here for Solana. So in the big picture, what we want to take a look at, of course, is the RSI. We're overextended at 70, likely to be rejected there, which we've already seen actually has happened. It's just the candlestick hasn't closed yet. So if we close below 70 on the RSI, then there's a great chance we'll probably see some type of pullback. I wouldn't say it's going to be dramatic per se. We got to double check, of course, what the smaller time frames look like. But at this point, it's not. It doesn't. It's one of those situations where when you see continuations like this, they can go on for a long time. And 70 on the RSI isn't exactly the only indicator you want to use. So we'll look at other things too, but for the moment, it does appear to be overextended on the daily. Obviously, we look at daily sequential. We got plenty of room for growth, but we did just recover from a 9 here. We barely got a reset. So keep in mind, that wasn't a tremendous amount of consolidation, but again, this leg up makes perfect sense in the general sense that it broke through that resistance level. We can see resistance right here as well. That is essentially holding the price action in place previously and no longer is. So I think the range of about $34 to $35 would be a pretty strong support level if it were to pull back that far. We'll likely see a bounce there. But again, on the same accord, we shouldn't expect that to happen based on the simple fact that it's obviously on a momentous run and there's a good chance it could continue to stay where it's at. So we'll find out here in just a moment if that's the situation. Taking a look, of course, at the simple moving averages, let's go ahead and just quickly double check this here. The 200 is on its way down, 50 is on its way tentatively up. So hypothetically, we could see a golden cross in the relative near future. And essentially, that's a case in point where you typically want to take a long position. Not saying you don't want a long until then, but there's a great chance that we will see some type of bouncing action, so to speak, in this range, potentially between now and then. Okay. Again, never try to buy the top and short, and never try to buy the bottom and long. I have strategies that I apply in my trading university, so of course, be sure to check that out if you're currently a community member. But for the moment, I can say that this is looking more positive than negative on the daily, but there's a strong chance that we shouldn't expect further upside unless, of course, smaller time frames identify that for us. So let's see. Looking at the smaller time frames, how far overextended are we? Well, pretty darn solidly overextended. So what this basically is, if you're not familiar with my either my channel or TD sequential, it's perfectly fine. The simple way to understand it is it counts up from 1 to a 9, and it essentially takes the fourth previous candlestick and counts up to a 9, and of course if you hit anything in between there, it'll reset. So for lack of better terms, this 9 right here, of course, is higher than the previous 5, so it counts up. And right now we hit a 9 plus basically 8 hours of continuation above that. So that is an extreme overextension, and the likelihood of it continuing much higher from here is pretty low because it's extremely overextended. I mean, take an example here. You see this 1 all the way to a 9. Do you see how it bounced back, recovered, and inevitably double bottomed its way back up? Not saying we're going to see a double bottom or a double top here and it come back down, but there is a chance of that too, right? Because we are overextended and the likelihood of it pulling back is greater. Taking a look at the RSI, willing to say this is over 70, which it is, and a common practice there, and this is the strategy that I like to use, when an RSI is up over 70, again, it depends on the length of time frame that you're holding, but obviously when you have an RSI over 70, the best strategy is to wait for the RSI to come back down to break below 70 and then take profit. I know it seems counterintuitive because you are losing out on some potential gains, but on the same accord, prices have a tendency once they break through 70 to stay above for a long time. So we could very well see this continue further, but the likelihood is lower, if that makes any sense. MACD, we don't need to bother with that. That's super strong. One thing we do want to recognize, though, is as soon as this next indicator, so to speak, or the next bar, that one essentially is going to be, if it's lower, then there's a great chance we're losing that momentum. Okay, so a good chance you want to see it kind of start making its way down like this. That's essentially a case in point where you'd probably want to close your position. All right, but for now, for lack of better terms, I would say let it ride, but it is absolutely overextended. There's no doubt about that. All moving averages are below the price action, so we got some strong support in the range of 31 to 32. So for lack of better terms, again, the price were to come back down, I think we should see some definite support between 34 and 35, right in that range there. Again, it's a little bit smaller of a range, but generally speaking, that's the concept there, is to kind of anticipate that. So moving on to the Ichimoku Cloud, we can go ahead and see, of course, we're clear on all indicators here. There's no reason to want to close your position at this point. While I would normally recommend trimming your position because we're overextended on standard deviation, this is basically a conservative indicator telling us, hey, we can conservatively leave our long position open because we don't have a signal of reversal yet, right? So that's kind of what we want to go on. Taking a look quickly at 2D sequential, we can see this here, which is kind of nice. This is a good thing. This does lead me to believe that this continuation could be continuing, for lack of better terms, but also not. Let me explain that. Because we came up to a 9 here, consolidated, it bounced up, got rejected, came up to another 9, consolidated, and now we legged up again. So when you see more than two, actually, well, to clarify, more than one 9 on TD sequential, the likelihood of reversal is higher as you continue to count up. So we've seen 2 so far. Hypothetically, the third will absolutely reverse. So if we continue up, just say for another 7 hours to hit another 9, upwards of 39, then we will absolutely see a pullback. It's almost a guarantee. And the reason why that's almost a guarantee is because it always puts us in the 48-hour to 72-hour range. And that's exactly where you find those candlestick patterns of a triple, three white soldiers essentially to the upside, or 3 black crows. I think it's the one to the downside. When you see 3 days of continuation that are very strong, very hard in one way, it has to pull back sometime. Greed is a very real thing, and a lot of times that profit can only stay, the meat can only stay on the bone for so long, right? Has to come back down. So right now we are right at that overextension point where another 5 to 7 hours we should experience a pullback from Solana. It would just make sense for that to happen, unless there's a fundamental catalyst that we cannot see or anticipate that essentially changes the technical analysis, right? Those are always little factors you want to consider. But again, based on strictly technical analysis here, we are extremely overextended. Likelihood of pullback is great. I would say we should see a pullback within 5 to 10 hours. That's pretty standard, kind of where we're at here. So I love these kind of momentum plays because it really helps you understand where you're at with things. And generally speaking, we're extremely overextended. Let's confirm that with the 15-minute and take a quick look at the volume weighted average price. You can see here that even though the volume has increased, we have this. Here, let me clear this out here just so you can see it a little better. You can see right here the price is overextended. It went way outside of that standard deviation. Now we're still above the volume weighted average price. So basically this blue line is the price of Solana essentially expressed, or sorry, let me rewind. It's the volume expressed as a price for Solana over the last 24-hour period. So in the last 24 hours, the volume is telling us that we should be at $36 or we're at $38. So again, overextended, but also we have that support level there to hold. But the bottom line is we went way outside the standard deviation lines, came up to a key level resistance and got rejected. The likelihood of it pulling back is fairly great, okay? Same thing with, if we take a look at what Bollinger Bands, another scenario here as well. Again, just works a little different than the volume weighted average price, and this regard here is telling us pretty much the same exact story. That's why I like to use Bollinger Bands and the volume weighted average price together concurrently to give you that verification that you are extremely overextended, and we can totally see that here, okay? So again, pullback makes perfect sense. I would say if you were to short for just a little bit, certainly wouldn't be the worst thing ever. If I were day trading, I would short all the way down to the volume weighted average price line and or this center line here for the Bollinger Bands, both averaging themselves out at about $36. So a short from 38 to 36 seems practical to me at this point. Not telling you to do that, I'm just saying that that is generally what I would do in this situation because it's extremely overextended and it makes no sense for it to maintain its current price point based on the fact that we have almost 3 nines in a row on TD sequential on the daily, and of course a very strong overextension on the 4 hour for TD sequential as well. All right, so again, a lot of reasons why this should pull back. Is it going to? We don't know. All right, so that being said, I would recommend being cautious and careful as per usual. Set your stop losses accordingly, adjust your stop loss as you take profit, and make sure that if it comes back down to zero, you've already checked out and gotten some of your gains for the day. I have a lot of community members here recently that reached out. They got a little bit on the greedy side yesterday, and they held some positions open. Some say they fell asleep. Others just probably just negligently forgot to adjust. But I always recommend moving your stop loss up to break even to ensure that after you've taken profits, it pulls back, you're still in the green somehow, right? And your first profit target should be somewhere in the range of 60, 70, 80% of your total position size to ensure if it does come back down to zero and you move that stop loss, essentially a trailing stop loss, you're still walking away in the green, right? Again, work smart instead of hard. That's the bottom line. And those are all things I teach in my trading academy, so be sure to check that out in your own time. I definitely look forward to working with you if you decide you want to become a community member. If not, that's okay too. Just make sure you get registered with Bitget, with my link, of course, so you can be part of my team here, because in November, I think it's November 20th, if I'm not mistaken, we have the registration period is over and we enter a group stage from 11/21 to 12/3. Okay, so kind of a cool little situation there. Again, these competitions are monthly. Last month we had a $10,000 prize pool. Awesome situation. Be sure to use Bitget, my favorite exchange. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you in the next one.